Yeah, I know.
Okay, sorry about that. I thought. Okay.
We know you're probably passing some good shlisel challah shilas or something.
You have no idea how many challah shilas I got in the last 24 hours. It's totally out of control.
That's
totally
what I'm saying. No.
But I have to tell you,
is there a shear to how much challah you have to take off if you do less than 5 pounds?
No.
A key's worth.
Which way are you talking about?
Oh, that's what hurts me. That's
The what?
What are you talking about? Which is there a minimum of challah or a minimum amount you take off?
No, minimum amount of challah that you have to take off.
No, any amount. But it's a kazayas is what is accepted.
Okay, I had a very small kazayas. I got sick and tired on Pesach. The big kazayas, I went with a small one.
All right, you're entitled. But I can't tell you how many people forgot to take challah. With all the mices, they forgot to take off challah and they baked all the challahs. Whatever.
Okay, but so what do you
They want to know what to do, or they want to know if the segulas will still work.
Yeah.
Did I miss that joke?
Take it off afterwards, no?
You take it off, you got to put it together, take it off afterwards, whatever it is. But so then they ruin their challahs. They ruin one
challah afterwards.
Right. But they ruin one challah.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's the problem. Okay, talk to Mishna, yeah? Daf Yomi Shekalim.
That's the challah that has keyless entry. They don't care if they ruin that one.
That's next year's thing. People are going to make key fob challahs.
That was in honor of you, doctor, that joke.
Yeah. Somebody beat you to it. Aaron Kama, your father sent me a picture of nowadays shlisel challah. It had a hotel room key, the plastic stuck in the challah. Yeah.
So Yaakov, I got it too with a phone call afterwards to make sure that I got it.
Okay, I wasn't zeicher to the phone call. Okay, so Zok the Mishnah, yeah. You tell some Aleph. Monies. We actually, it's always a lumdish daf. Friday, okay, I don't want to say. I haven't said it in a while that it's very negeya, but it's very negeya.
Is Marchuk here?
It's Marchuk.
Yeah. So anyway, so monies shenimtzau bein hashkalim lenedava. So let's say we had all these pushkas, right? We had 13 tzedakah boxes, as we said. Right. So, and each one, the money goes towards a certain thing. So what happens if you have money that was found in between them? So where does the money go? Which pushka does it go to? Which this is a shaila. People a lot of times have a few pushkas lined up in their house, right? And then they find, and then they find the coins. Which one does it go to? So do you go bust a roiv? Let's say you have 3 pushkas for Hatzalah and 1 for a school. Or do you go with that, or do you go which one it's close to? So they had the same issue in the Beis Hamikdash. Right, so Moshe Nimtzu bein hashkalim lenedava, part of the shkalim, yiplu shkalim. If it goes close to the shkalim, so it goes to the shkalim. The nedava, yiplu nedava, but if it goes to nedava, then it goes to nedava. What happens if it's mechza lemechza? Right? Naftali Liner, I can imagine that happening to you. Perfectly in the middle. You don't know which way to go. You're going out of your mind, right?
Thank you.
That's mechza lemechza. Right, half to half. You'll start measuring and then.
What do you mean, Yacha?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So mechza lemechza, you blew the double, then it goes towards
from the business.
Yeah, right.
I didn't hear what you said.
You get the laser,
so you have
measuring a laser
from the business. Your measuring thing, your laser measuring.
Yes, I have. Yes, okay.
Yeah, so mechza lemechza, yiplu. By the way, the psak for that would be is that you go buster. It goes with the visual. It goes with a visual. It does not. It wouldn't go with a laser. You eyeball it and see. But anyways, but let's say, so then it goes to shkalim or to nedava. So which one does it go to? It goes to nedava.
Is this where we learn out the same halachas? Like if you find money on this side of the cash register versus that side of the cash register and all that stuff? Same concept, right?
Yep, same sugya. And also if you find, what else gets into it? If you find money in a shul, right? Is the shul kainit? And then I don't want to go down this road because it'll be the end of the daf because we'll have this conversation we could have this conversation for an hour. Is who gives the yeshivas the right to make things hefker when people leave it there? Shuls, you leave it there for 30 days, it's hefker. Who says Who says? Right? It's, whatever. So it doesn't say anything here. All this law stuff in Beis Hamikdash doesn't say anywhere here that it's goes hefker, right? Okay, that's a different story for a different time. Okay, so anyway,
That's a tonight, isn't it? It's just a tonight condition of being in yeshiva.
Yeah,
Jacob,
okay, but
it just so happens.
but how that works halachically is really not simple.
It just so happens to be in the day that I was in MTJ. I had to do a favor for them. They needed something. And I said, like, how come they never made a certain room they have like junk for years? I said, how come you never made this hefker? So the Rashiva's policy is nothing's ever hefker. You don't know when the guy's going to come back and take it.
There you go. Very good. That's very good. Yeah. Yes,
Must be a big room. Must be a big room.
in MTJ, Taka never know when people could come. Yeah.
There's guys living in there.
That's very good. Okay, so Bain Eitzim Levina. So it's between the wood and the frankincense. So Karvla Eitzim, Yivla Eitzim, Levina, Yivla Levina. Mertel Mertel, Yivla Levina. Bain Keenan Legais Le'ayla. So right, yesterday we had Chiluke Deis, whether which one is the pigeons and which one is the turtle doves, whatever it is. Karav Lekinin, Yiplu Lekinin, Karav Legais Le'ayla, Yiplu Legais Le'ayla, Mertel Mertel, Yiplu Legais Le'ayla. Question is why, we'll see in the Gemara, why is the Gemara giving a few examples and then it leaves it. Bein chulin l'maisa sheni. So if it's between chulin and maisa sheni, karav l'chulin yiplu l'chulin, l'maisa sheni yiplu l'maisa sheni. Mechza l'mechza yiplu l'maisa sheni. Okay, ze'akla. What's the bottom line? Holchin achar hakarav l'hakol, mechza l'mechza l'hachmer. You always go basar the karav for the kula or l'chumra. The Mishna says it as kula, meaning whichever box it's closest to, that's where the money goes, whether it's the kula or the chumra. But if it's split in the middle, then you have to go with the more chumra one, whichever one is stricter, right? Because it's a suffix, it's going to be a suffix, so we're going to go l'chumra. Okay, so Zog the Gemara. That's a very interesting way of, this is a Yerushalmi phrase, the Yerushalmi type of phrase, right? Which is that you don't need to say between shkalim and what's it called? Lakinim, right? Meaning shkalim was the first box, kinim was the last box, right? So they weren't close to each other. Meaning, if you're going to be worried about there's a bunch of pushkas next to each other, you're going to use an example of pushka number 1 next to pushka number 2. Where does it fall? But here it went with pushka number 1 and it went with pushka number 13, but there were a lot of pushkas in between. Right? So what is the pshat? So Rav Ivan B'Shem Rav Pinchas came in buchli or hayoy. So no, the pushkas were in a circle or a semicircle. So if they were a semicircle, so 1 and 13 made like a horseshoe, right? So then in between 1 and 13 is going to be close to each other, right? Meaning if it goes in a circle,
1 and 13, a circle. One second, a full circle is 1 and 13. A semicircle, then 1 and 13 are very far apart from each other.
No, it depends how close that circle closes. But let's call it a circle.
A horseshoe is like a U. That's
right, but it's still going to be close to each other. Depends on how wide it is. Okay, either way, either one, whatever it is, 1 and 13. Actually, we had this in Erevin when we talked about tchum. So we said the tchum in a town is in a U. So then the shaila is what's the middle? Okay, whatever it is. But that's the way the Gemara is saying the case. So mechzel and mechzel yipl nedava. So the Gemara says if it's half, it goes to nedava. Yeah. So we're gonna go with the parentheses here. Loi tzarcha the loi mechzel and mechzel yipl shkalim shouldn't have gone to shkalim. Yeah, because which one is more chomer? Shkalim. You have, what do they buy with shkalim? They buy karbanos that you're chayiv to bring. Nedava goes for what do you call it? Nedava is voluntary, right? As a present. So which one's more chomer, right? If this money is a suffix and it was earmarked for a carbon that you're chayiv to bring, and then you end up bringing a nedava. So what does that do? That's not good. So that's what the Gemara is asking. So Gemara answers, some want to say that what the pshat is that it's going to go into the shiyarei halishka. Meaning, what do you do with the extra shkalim after, let's say they don't get used? So they go into the shiyarei halishka. That's one pshat. And is the boy merzel kemisha meis. No, we look at merzel as if it died, right? So since we look at it, it's for somebody who died. So we know that the shekel. So right, what do we say with somebody's shekel? If they died, they're makadosh or they're makdish, not makadosh. They're makdish the shekel, right? And they die. So then it goes to nedava. So that's the way we're being matarat to why it goes to nedava. But really, theoretically, not really theoretically. I don't know if that's a stira, but really, it should go towards the shkalim because that's more chum. Fine. Amar Rav Yasa Adana Taman. When I was there, meaning in Bavel, Shema is called Rabbi Yehuda Shal Shmuel. I heard Rabbi Yehuda ask Shmuel, Hifra Shikla Yomeis. Let's say somebody separated his shekel and then he died. Amar Le Yiplu Nedava, so it goes to Nedava. Yeah. Fine. And then he asked also Asirus Eifa Shaloi. What about the Asirus Eifa of the kohen? So Rabbi Yochanan Amar Yalichem Yama Melech. It goes to Yama Melech. We had this Gemara before. Rabbi Lezer Amar Yiplu Nedava. That also goes to Nedava. Yeah, Vakasha. So the Gemara says Vakasha v'yesh chatas kreva oila. So now we're going back to this to the other case of with the kinim, right? So is it possible that a chatas can be made into an oila? We know that a chatas can't be made into an oila. So what happens if you're wrong on these coins? Meaning we don't know where these coins came from. They came from kinim or geizle oila, geizle oif, right? Not oif, geizle yaina. I'm sorry, right? So one is a chatas, one is a oila. So if you're wrong, and the money was meant to go to a chatas, and now how are you bringing it as a oila? So Chizkiya, b'shem Rav Shimon ben Lakish, Chizkiya said in the name of Rav Shimon ben Lakish, tonight Beis Din u'alam ma'aser she'yigru oila. Is right. We went to this. We go to this in the times of desperation. We go to this teretz, which is that it's a Tanai Beis Din. Right? Beis Din has the koyach to make Tanayim that whatever it is, and the Tanai Beis Din says that if there's any extra, so then it can go towards oil. So since it's a Tanai Beis Din, then it works. Okay, but then the Gemara asks, but bottom line is the woman who thought she put in the coins to bring the two birds for her, they had a kapara. Bottom line is if those two coins fell out of the box and it doesn't end up going towards her birds, so how did she get a kapara? Right, so Rav Yitzchak Tanai Beis Din, no, it's a Tanai Beis Din. Yeah, that's that hamasapik is kinan, who masapik is upsideless. That whoever is gonna give the what do you call it? How do you say it? Meaning whoever's gonna supply, right? That's I guess you'd say it. Masapik is right. A masapik is a kinan. Whoever's the one that's going to be taking care of the kinan, he's also doing for the psilas too. Meaning he's having the ones that are puzzle in mind too. Yes, the Gemara says, the Gemara asks, right? Now a new thing. Light sarcha the law bein here again. There's a light sarcha. The law bein oila. Take out ketairas, put in oila la'etzim l'lavina l'zav l'chayras. Right? Meaning, why didn't you bring all these cases? Right? The Mishnah brought like 3 examples of coins falling in between different boxes. What about all the other ones? So the Gemara answers, no, we learned it all, and then right? You either go after the karev, and if it's mefzel, you go lahachmer. Right? So therefore, that's covering everything. Okay, I don't understand this because so now why do you need 3 examples in the Mishnah and then we just cut to the rule? Why didn't you just say 1 example and then go to the rule? Right? Again, the Mishnah went through, there's 13 tzedakah boxes, right? So there's how many variables? 12. Right? It would be 12, right?
13 if they're in a circle.
Even if they're in a circle, it'll be 13, correct. So 13 if they're in a circle.
Although if they're in a circle, there should technically be a lot more.
Okay, we ain't going down that road. This is hard enough as it is.
What happens if you find the money inside the circle?
Right. Okay. Yes. I don't know. And
that's why you need the cloud. That's the cloud. Whichever one.
Okay, but the bottom line is the Mishnah has all these variables. It says 3 of them, and then it jumps. Right. The Gemara is not discussing why it says 3. Okay, fine. That next Mishnah. Ma'is shenimtu lifnei seicher behema. What about money that's found in front of the salesman, the people that sold the animals. Yeah. So any money that's found in front of those that sold animals is always going to be Meiser money, because the assumption is people take their Meiser money, meaning Meiser Sheni money, not Meiser money the way we call Meiser money, right? And they bring it up to Yerushalyim and they buy meat with it, right? Or Baharabayas, it's chulin. Yeah, but on the Harabayas, the money is chulin. Of Yerushalyim, b'shakali masashana chulin, or b'shasa regala kol ma'aser. Yerushalyim, the whole year round, it's going to be chulin, and during Yom Tov, everything is going to be ma'aser. So you realize, I mean, the Gemara is going to discuss it, but you're saying that the money found in front of the salesman is ma'aser sheni, but the money found in the Beis Hamikdash is chulin. Why would you ever think that money that was found in the Beis Hamikdash wasn't hektish? Right. Besides that, there's a Gemara and brachas that we learned you can't bring money you can't bring a wallet into the Beis Hamikdash, right? But that's a different kasha. Okay. So again, if the money's found in front of the behemoth sales people, let's consider ma'aser sheni. On the Harabayas, it's chulin. In Yerushalayim, it depends. All year round, it's chulin. During Yom Tov, it's ma'aser. That's money. Now, what about meat?
With all the chashashas that we had in the last Perek, I don't think there's any chashash that this money could really be hektish.
What?
Find on our bias. After all the chashashas we had, that you're scared about every which direction, money that you find on Harabayas can definitely not be hektish.
Why?
Because the amount of care they took with it, the beards, the mouths, the thing, you name it, it was taken care of. So money that was hektish was in the bushkas.
Right. I hear. Are you saying okay?
The shayla is the other way around. Why wouldn't it be nicer? Just because it's on Harabayas and they bypassed the stores doesn't mean that they didn't didn't use their Meiser money.
I hear. Okay, so let's see weiter. Now that's coins. What about the meat? Basa shenitzah ba'azara. So meat that's found in the azara, evarim oilos. If it's cut up into evarim, big pieces, like big chunks, then it's oilos because nobody's eating it. It's going to be put under the mizbeach. But if it's cut into pieces, then it's a chatas. Because when it's cut into pieces, because people are going to eat it, so they're going to cut it up into nice pieces. In Yerushalyim, zivchei shlamim, right? Then if everything else is going to be considered, any meat that's found in Yerushalayim is going to be considered shlamim. Zeh tuba tzarase, but both of them. So what do? You can't just eat the meat. No, there's no. In all these scenarios, when you find the meat, you are not allowed to eat the meat. What do you have to do? So what you have to do is you have to let the tzura go, let its form go away, which means leave it overnight, so it becomes puzzle. Then yatzal the Beis Hasreifa, and then it goes out to the Beis Hasreifa. So nimtza b'gvulin. Let's say it's found. That's if it's found in the Beis Hamikdash. Nimtza b'gvulin. If you find the meat in the boundaries, meaning outside of the Beis Hamikdash, evarim nevelos. So then the big pieces are considered nevela because nobody was planning on eating it. It must be. It came from a treif animal, right? Because they're not cutting it up. For chatichos mutaros, but the small pieces obviously must have come from a kosher animal, so therefore you're allowed to eat it. Ubeshas regel, but during Yom Tov, Shabbos Maruva, where there's a lot of meat around, af evarim mutaros, even evarim are mutar, because most we're going to go basar to roiv. Right now, obviously nobody. I'm saying who would ever take a piece of meat they find in the street and just decide to eat it? Like, what society are they going to do this, right? Not an off-room society, right? Off-room society would never do something like that, right? But back then, it was obviously an option. You find a piece of meat on the street, and you could eat it. We'll see what with the Pasuk and Solomon Ayin. We're going to get to that, right? That's a derabbanon to not eat meat. Rabban, you're muted.
Excuse me. So if I find a piece in Aaron's yard, is it Aaron's house? Is it a shul? Is it from the siyum? What is it? You can find a piece in the yard.
So that's the thing. So that we're going to see in the Gemara. We're going to that the Gemara is going to discuss it. Okay. Wait.
All kidding aside, I did find a cowboy bone recently in the yard.
But not meat. I can tell you, it's not left over from the CM.
It's a relic from the Siyumim from thousands of years ago, Aaron.
Oh, very good.
Well, so Aaron's yard around Siyum time might be the only place in the world you'd be able to find evarim. like a whole front quarter.
Yeah. Okay, anyway, so we'll see in the Gemara as this goes. Loit Sarcha. So Gemara asks, again, the same Lashon as before. Loit Sarcha, the Loit Harabayas Kaidish. The literal, I don't even know how to literally translate this. Is it not, do you not need it that it's a Harabayas and not Kaidish? Basically, the Gemara is asking, how could it be that you're saying that the money found on Harabayas is not Hektish? How could you say that? Right? So Rebbe Ba, Reb Chia, b'shem Reb Yochanan, chazaka she'ena kain maitzim min alishka mois achu mechal anabahim. No, because there's a chazaka that when the kohen takes out money and he buys the animal with it, so basically what he does, he immediately, right when he gets the animal, he immediately is mechal the money right onto the animal. So the money, the animal, let's say he takes 10 coins to buy the animal. So the second he gets the animal, he chooses the animal, he takes those coins, buys the animal, those coins now become chulin because the animal, the kedusha from the coins goes into the animal, right? So that happens immediately, right? And therefore, now when the money's found, it's assumed that it no longer has kedusha because the kedusha transferred onto the animal, right? Fine. Okay, so basa shenim. So what about meat? So Rabbi Eliezer b'shem Rav Hashia hisia das tain iber tzura, right? He said. Somebody who's masiach das. It's interesting we call hasiya, right? Hasiya means it's another word for hasiach das. If somebody stops paying attention to his carbon, ton iber tzura, then you're not allowed to use it. In the same way, why don't we talk after washing hands for bread? Because if you talk, you're gonna forget, and maybe your hands are gonna touch parts of your body or your shoes or something that it can't touch, right? So, same thing with the carbon. Right? If you lose track of making sure the carbon doesn't become tummy, then you're gonna have to. It's gonna become puzzle. But you can't make it puzzle because you don't know if it became tummy. So what you do is you let it sit overnight. Now it becomes puzzle, and then you get rid of it. Fine. Amar Rav Hashim Masnisan Amar Kain. Our Mishnah says this because the Mishnah says to uber tzurasai. If you find meat, so what do you have to do? You let it stay overnight. V'yotzal beis hasreifa, and then it gets burned. Amar Rav Yosef Yos. Right? And Yos means it's nice. Yes, that's true. Right? You're not allowed to eat it because you're going to maybe mess up. Maybe the tzura already changed, meaning maybe that meat already went overnight, and it's possible. I mean, you find meat in the Beis Hamikdash, right? So it could be, or if you found in Yerushalyim, it could be that meat was from yesterday's kabbalas, which means it's already puzzle. I don't know why the Gemara doesn't. Be able.
Why do you say it's a shlomim? Why would there be meat in Yerushalayim itself? You can only eat the chatas you have to eat in the Beis Hamikdash, no? So
no, that's true. But the Gemara is saying either way, how do you know that it's not puzzle because it's already had lina?
Shlomim's 2 days.
What?
You have a shlomim's last 2 days.
The shlomim last
and they swept Yerushalayim every day.
I hear. I don't know. So you're saying if they swept it every day?
Right. So on a Tuesday, the guy brought a shlom on Tuesday. He brought it home and he dropped a piece on the street. So you could eat it Tuesday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday.
Right.
So, and they swept every day.
But I think, but could that be only once it was? No, I don't know. What? Maybe it's only once they burned it. But maybe isn't tzura if they didn't, the meat left over and they didn't yet weren't makrib the carbon, then it's going to be puzzle. Could that be? I'm not sure. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I think maybe
I was thinking along the same lines as Aaron, but then I was thinking there's something called rigor mortis that happens.
Right.
So 12 hours after that. So which is a problem. If you find it the next day, it's going to be very different than when it's fresh.
I had that same question. I don't know if Rabban meant that he was asking something else, but yeah, you should be able to tell that a meat decayed, right? After
Not if there's such a fine chef like Perek, so you want the meat not decaying.
I hear. That's if it's cooked.
Perek would only use meat that's at least 3 days after shechita.
Meat ages. You can age the meat.
Yeah, but it's once you age it, it's already for sure. Or the zman has passed.
I understand, but this it's
Right.
not like, oh, you could say, oh, this meat is 2 weeks old.
Right.
No, it's for sure not.
Someone needs to
I
mute.
don't know.
It's Gershon. That's what. But when he talks, there's the background. It's fine. Go ahead.
I thought that the shaila was bedavka on a shlamim. We don't know if it's fresh, just shechted, or 3 days later.
I hear.
If you find
I don't know.
find
Okay, we got
find
it Friday.
No, but
Sunday
it can't
morning.
be they slept.
Sunday
they slept
morning.
Yerushalyim every day, Gersh.
Yes, I don't know why the
Not on
Gemara doesn't
Shabbos.
mention
3
that.
days old.
Not on Shabbos. They find a piece of meat Sunday morning. Find a piece of meat Sunday morning. It could be shechted Friday. It could be shechted Sunday.
Gershon,
Right.
they had the Shabbos brushes.
Okay, I don't know. Let's see weiter. To eat it, you're not allowed to do because maybe it was left overnight. Therefore, we have to say let it sit overnight. And then it goes out to Beis Hasreif. Fine. Okay. Nimtza b'gavul, let's say you find meat in the outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Crispa b'shem Rabbi Yossi b'Rab Chanina said, "Evarim nevelos like an alein mishum nevela." If you eat these evarim, now the bottom line is it's a suffix, right? We don't know, right? But he's saying it's so strong that the evarim, that the large pieces are considered nevela, that you would get malkus if you eat it. It's a big chiddush because with all these shilas, it's a whole lumdish thing. There's a taisus about it, and then obviously the achronim about all these sveikas. Do we say that if a suffix is mutter, we say it's mamish mutter, or do we say that no, it's a suffix? You're gonna get you're not gonna get an issa because the Rabbanan said you're not gonna be over an issa. But lemaisa, right? If you have something that's a suffix doraisa lechumra and you eat it, but it ends up being that you ate it anyways. But then it ends up being that it was mutter. You're over or not, right? Or the other way around. Right? So that's a big shayla. But what he's saying here is that this suffix is considered as if he would get malkus.
Even if there's rice eaten in the top?
In whatever, yeah, that's the shayla. When these things does the whole thing, the cheftza become mutter, right? And that's it, it's mutter, or do we say no, it's still a suffix? Still a suffix.
If rival people are eating.
No, yes, that's true. Rive is right, but so what? But there is a chance that it's no good. We don't know. You might say you don't know.
Okay, you don't go bust the rive?
We do go bust the rive, but there is a possibility that you're not going to get it. There is a possibility.
Is he saying that here because the Gemara asking that it has a din of Avela? The Mishnah said it's an Avela.
That's part of the Shiloh. That's part of the Shiloh. Exactly what this whole thing. He's saying you would get malkus on it, and he says Masnisa Amrakin. The Mishnah says this. Evarim nevelas v'chatichas mutaras. The evarim are considered nevelas. The big pieces are nevelas, and the pieces are considered are mutar. Chatichas mutaras loy mamish, right? Doesn't it? When it says that pieces are mutar, doesn't mean mamish. You could eat it, right? With the kava sauce. And then if that's the case, evarim nevelas like an alei b'shum nevelas. So when it says evarim, you can't eat it. So that means it's also to eat. And then memela, it's looked at like a regular nevela. Fine. Rav Crispa. B'shem Rabbi Yossi b'Rab Chanina, he has a chiddush that if it's like a bunch of meat, like a string of hot dogs, right, or a string of meat together, then we're going to say even if it's large pieces, nobody would do that if it was an avela. Why would anybody be busy stringing meat together if he can't eat it anyways? So it must be that it's kosher, and then you'd be allowed to eat it. Fine. Now we have the famous Gemara Tesha Chanuyos. If you have 9 stores. Meichres Basar Nevela. 9 stores sell treif. Vachas Meichres Basar Shchuten. 1 sells shechted. Eschalfuloi chayshish. Right? If he doesn't show, he just doesn't remember which store he bought it from. Right? He knows he took it from a store, but he doesn't remember which store. That's called kol kavua. That's kavua, meaning the shaila happened in a set place. The shaila started in a store. He doesn't remember where it came from. So therefore, because we say kol kavua kemechtzal mechtzal, it's considered 50-50. He's not allowed to eat it. But
why would he ever go into a treif store if there's 9 pizza stores and one's kosher, and who forgets if they bought treif or not?
The other one has best teeth.
What do you say? No, so it could be you went in there for business, you went in there for dog food, whatever it is.
I saw this happen on Avenue J many years ago. A tourist, not knowing, went into one of the treif pizza stores.
Oh yeah.
Some guy, yeah.
Okay,
Said it was
so
delicious. Said it was
I
delicious.
think there's only one treif pizza shop on Avenue J. It's called Defino's, and it's like rated one of the best.
World
pizza
famous.
shops. Yeah.
It's world
It's
famous.
it's one of the best in the city. Yeah,
Yep.
the Pharaohs.
Yep.
Pharaohs.
Yeah.
that's
So good,
yeah,
it tastes kosher. Maybe not.
Yeah, but anyways, so that's
The guy
so again,
closes in
if
the middle of the day for a few hours. He's like, when I was a kid, he was 90. I don't know if he's still around.
So if the
He couldn't make it
suffix
through the day.
happened in the store, it's also Teisha Chanuyus. I'm sorry, well, nimtzeis. But if you found the meat in the street, then then you go after the roiv. This is there's the amount of ink that was spilled on these sugis is unbelievable. So we're trying to fit it in 5 minutes on a Friday. But okay, that's one case. Teisha Chanuyus malkus basar shchuta. Right, 9 stores sell basar shchuta. This is the opposite, right? Kosher meat, and one sells treif. If he's not sure where he bought it from, we have to be chayshish, even though 9 are kosher and 1 is treif. Because kavua, if the shaila happened in the store, it's 50-50. But if it's found, then and it's going to be kosher. But let's say a guy goes over to you in the middle of the street and says to you, I got a piece of meat here. No hechsher, no nothing. I got a piece of meat here. You want it? Right? So he says that it's considered like it's found in the street, and therefore it's going to be kosher, the meat. Try that at home. Yeah? Fine, but that's what the Gemara is saying. Rav Lazar Beir Rav Chagi have a masmak l'Ramana. He was leaning.
If he's holding on to it?
What? Even so, but we don't know where it came from.
He's a muhsik on the meat.
So what? But we're saying,
it still has to come from one of the stores.
Yeah,
but he's what do you mean? He's a guy, so it's a chazaka that he would buy from a treif, no?
What? No, it's a chaz. No, we don't know. We just don't know where he got it from. You have no idea. He's talking about a case even where there's 9 frum stores and 1 treif.
I understand. He buys it on Central Avenue, and he's walking out with a piece of meat. So we assume it's from the.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. So Rab Lezer Beir Rab Chagi have a masmach l'Ramana. He was holding up Ramana. He saw a guy. He took a piece of meat from his horse, right? Mamish, I think. I don't know if the horse was dead or not. It doesn't say. He just took a piece from his horse. It's either treif. I don't know. That's what it says. It doesn't say he killed it. But okay, whatever. I don't know.
It was horse meat, or the horse was carrying meat?
What?
It was horse meat, or the horse was carrying meat?
I don't know. I learned it straight from the horse. I'm just typing it the way it says. I have no idea. Right? That's what I thought. Makata min susi, he cut it off his horse. Right? Now I don't know if the horse is alive or dead, but either way, it's treif. Umapik lebra, and he brought it outside. Amar le hadahi damar Rav Yochanan. Is this what Rabbi Yochanan said? If you find it in the guy, then it's found in the streets, and therefore it should be kosher. Is this what he said? You see right here is an obvious case where you would be eating treif if you ate the meat. Amarle, Kain Amar Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi. So did Rabbi Yosi say, but that only meaning there's a caveat. You can only eat it from the guy if you see the guy leaving the Yiddish store. If you don't see him leaving the Yiddish store, then you're not allowed to eat it from the guy. If that's the case, what's the chiddush? Right? Okay. Chad Barnash, one more, we'll have 2 more. Okay, I guess let's stop here. It's already too close to Shabbos. Okay, we also have to
stores before with bags from 3 different stores.
Yeah.
Why would a guy? I still have to be chayshish. Why on earth would a guy buy meat when it's 14 times the price in Gourmet Glatt than it is in Stop and Shop?
All right, see you later. Right.
Mustami, he brought the meat in Stop and Shop. He carried it. He also went to Gourmet Glatt for something that you couldn't buy there.
You don't remember the story of Gourmet Glatt years ago, so we'll just leave it.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, I don't know about this.
But there are plenty of guys going to Chimichurri and buy fried chicken. So you come out with a bucket of fried chicken and you don't know where it's from.
There are a lot of Jews who think kosher meat is more healthy.
I
The
was
whole
in a meat
kosher
market
industry,
yesterday.
85% of people who buy kosher are non-Jews who think kosher foods are more healthy. Have a good
I was in a
Shabbos.
meat market yesterday. I don't know, maybe Paris and Aaron will get this, but there was a guy there who bought a whole export. And I asked the guy behind the counter, well, the guy was obviously not Jewish. And he said, because the guy comes in here all the time to buy whole exports because he can't buy them in the supermarket.
Your phone, yeah.
Have a good Shabbos.
Not a smartphone. Yeah. Yeah. Just put it in, yeah. As long as it's something worth more than that in the bag.
You don't have to put water in it. You don't have to put water
Okay,
in
so there you go.
Nah.
Right.
What are you looking for, Mash? Screen time?
Right. Tell Shalom he can draw now. Yeah.
Go
Good.
do things for
Okay, what are you
Shabbos.
going to do about which hospital you going? LIJ.
Yeah, I can see. You want me to end this
Go back.
thing?
You go back.
You want me to end it? Good Shabbos, everybody. Bye.